What a whiny little
Because
cretin.
your book is a criticism of how angry America is and how America has to do better. And I'm simply
I have an entire list on my website, sir. On my list, I have an entire website of dumb, bad things that I've said. I'm simply trying to point out some of the things you've said that seem to me to help to stoke that anger. For example, you said Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. Well, as I say in an article entitled, "Here's a list of all the giant, bad, dumb things I've ever said."
Was that dumb?
Well, yes, that's a dumb tweet. And not only, but it is also important to mention that the next few tweets clarify that that tweet is specifically referring to the Hamas leadership, which, by the way, a BBC I've seen is relatively reticent to condemn.
No, actually, it wasn't what you went on to do and say.
But it's just beautiful the way, because he took some dumb, and of course the BBC condemns actions by Hamas. The BBC is quite moderate. It just acknowledges international law and an example in Israel-Palestine. But I just love that Andrew Neil does not even feel the need to go chase that dumb little chestnut. Just like, okay, well, it's back to actually what you were saying.
You can see the dishonesty in Shapiro in that tactic there, right? Because he talks about, he characterizes the subsequent tweets as if they basically make that tweet not dumb,
right?
And then moves on to make an assertion about the BBC that he thinks Neil is going to follow up instead of that, but Neil impressively stays on the trail.
That the next few tweets clarify that that tweet is specifically referring to the Hamas leadership, which, by the way, a BBC I've seen is relatively reticent to condemn.
No, actually, it wasn't what you went on to do and say. You are correct about the slur on Arabs. It's not all Arabs that want to live in open sewage and blow things up. It's just Palestinians, you went on to say.
No, it says the ones who take sides against Israel in the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
Population is rotten to the core, you went on to say. Not Hamas, the Palestinian Arab population.
I say that by poll numbers, they elected Hamas. They educate their children.
Wait, I thought you weren't saying that. So now we're going to justify saying that with the usual litany here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought why do you need poll numbers to talk about the Hamas leadership?
Wait, and I thought you were disaggregating from Hamas from the regular Palestinians. But now because they voted for Hamas, maybe they all are actually bad. Ergo, maybe the tweet isn't a problem? What are we saying here, Ben?
The Palestinian Arab population.
I say that by poll numbers, they elected Hamas. They educate their children in school that Israel should be obliterated, sir.
I guess
if you want to read, honestly, this is a giant waste of time in the sense that the entire interview is designed for you to shout slogans or old things that I've said at me. I don't see how this forwards the debate. You talk about undermining the public discourse. It seems to me that simply going through and finding lone things that sound bad out of context and then hitting people with them is a way for you to make a quick buck on BBC off the fact that I'm popular and no one has ever heard of you.
There are not many bucks to be made on the BBC, unlike American broadcasting, Mr. Shapiro. The point I'm trying to make is that your words are hardly designed to produce the consensus and understanding that the book seems to want to produce. That's my point, that you write about, Judeo-Christian culture and so on, but so much of what you've said in the past would seem to turn its back on Judeo-Christian culture.
You're lecturing me on Judeo-Christian culture after you call the pro-life position barbaric?
I just asked you a question.
All he does is evade.
And I asked you a question. You failed to answer a single one of mine. Frankly, I find this whole thing a waste of time. If you want to read the book and critique the book, why don't you read and critique the book? If you want to critique me, you can think whatever you want of me.
Frankly,
I don't care. I don't frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for this. But that's not the issue. You have a
then
new
why the hell
book
are you
out,
interviewing
and it's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that
society... Well, it'd be nice if you would quote it from time to time.
Your book is... Well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question. Your book claims that society is turning its back on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah,
what are those values? What are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse. Now, Mr. Shapiro, we'll say goodbye.
Oh, my God. guy.
Ben doesn't like it when context isn't provided for certain tweets and things like that. Man,
wow.
He's got to be.
The era of the pajama boy is over.
Word. And if he's your intellectual leader, you should be fucking embarrassed.
The cool kids philosopher,
the
baby.
Cool kids philosopher, keeping it
Get out
cool.
those cool kids.
You know